stop right there. I know what you're thinking. You think disappearing means you are running from life. You think silence means defeat. You think stepping back means something is wrong with you. No, that is not what I am saying. There is a difference between running from responsibility and returning to the place where responsibility can be built. There is a difference between hiding because you are afraid and withdrawing because you are being formed. You do not disappear to be forgotten. You disappear to be formed. We are living in a generation addicted to visibility. Everybody wants to be seen, but nobody wants to be seasoned. Everybody wants to be announced, but nobody wants to be developed. Everybody wants to be celebrated, but few people are stable enough to survive celebration. You want followers before you have formation. You want a platform before you have principles. You want applause before you have alignment. And let me tell you something, premature visibility is dangerous. Exposure without preparation is not favor. It is a test you are not ready to pass. The world will teach you to post before you produce, speak before you study, declare before you develop, and perform before you possess. That is a trap. Noise is the refuge of the insecure. Silence is the workshop of the wise. When a thing is valuable, it is not developed in the crowd. Seeds grow underground. Babies grow in the womb. Gold is formed under pressure. Roots are developed where nobody claps. So why do you think your destiny must be built in public? 90 quiet days can rewrite the next 10 years of your life, if you understand what those days are for. I am not talking about isolation with no purpose. I am not talking about loneliness that makes you bitter. I am not talking about disappearing so people can miss you, chase you, or wonder what happened to you. That is still performance. I am talking about silence with assignment, discipline with direction, separation with purpose. A season where you stop explaining yourself and start examining yourself. A season where you stop trying to be impressive and start becoming effective. Because here is the truth. The person you are today may not have the capacity to carry what your destiny requires tomorrow. That does not mean you are worthless. That does not mean you are behind. That does not mean God has changed his mind about you. It means capacity must be created before weight can be carried. A child may be heir to the estate, but if he is immature, the estate will destroy him. Ownership without maturity becomes disaster. Gift without character becomes embarrassment. Opportunity without discipline becomes collapse. God does not expose what he has not prepared. He does not place weight on weak foundations and call it blessing. He does not waste hidden seasons. If he has you in a quiet place, it is not because heaven forgot your address. It is because heaven is working on your structure. The hidden season is not punishment, it is preparation. The wait is not a waste. The silence is not empty. The delay is not denial. Something is being corrected. Something is being strengthened. Something is being removed. Something is being restored. So for the next few minutes, do not treat this as entertainment. Treat this as instruction. Do not listen for a quote to impress people. Listen for a command to obey. If you are serious about becoming the person God designed, then stay with this teaching. Subscribe if you are not playing with your destiny. Connect yourself to instruction that corrects you, disciplines you, and calls you higher. Because the next 90 days are not about being louder. They are about being deeper. They are not about proving yourself to people. They are about presenting yourself to purpose. You can change your circle in 90 days. You can change your habits in 90 days. You can change your appetite, your discipline, your prayer life, your focus, your standards, your emotional responses, and your tolerance for distraction in 90 days. But you cannot do it while worshiping visibility. You cannot do it while needing applause for every step. You cannot do it while announcing what has not yet built you. Disappear correctly. Get quiet with purpose. Let God deal with the version of you that keeps craving attention more than transformation. Because when the foundation is right, the future can stand. When the private man is built, the public assignment can be carried. And when you come back, you will not need to beg people to notice you. Your fruit will announce what your silence produced. Now, let me confront something. Because this is where many people lose the very future they prayed for. Why do you need to tell everybody the plan before the plan has produced fruit? Why do you need an audience for an assignment that has not yet produced obedience? Why do you need applause for a seed that has not even taken root? Stop announcing what has not yet built you. I know what you are thinking. You say, but I am just excited. I am just sharing my vision. I am just speaking it into existence. No, listen carefully. There is a difference between confession and exposure. There is a difference between faith and performance. There is a difference between declaring what God said and advertising what your discipline has not yet proven. Some people are not walking by faith. They are feeding an addiction to being seen. They are not announcing destiny. They are begging for validation. Announcement culture says, look at me. Assignment culture says, obey God. Announcement culture wants claps before construction. Assignment culture demands obedience before evidence. Announcement culture measures movement by who noticed. Assignment culture measures movement by what was built. And if you do not understand the difference, you will confuse noise with progress. You will confuse attention with authority. You will confuse people reacting to your words with God approving your foundation. Let me tell you something. Premature visibility can destroy what private discipline was supposed to develop. Some things are not weak because they are false. They are weak because they are young. A baby is real, but you do not expose a baby to every environment. A seed is alive, but you do not keep digging it up to prove that it is growing. A vision may be from God, but that does not mean it is ready for public handling. What is sacred information can become damaged by careless exposure. A seed does not grow because it is seen. A seed grows because it is buried. It is covered. It is watered. It is left in the dark long enough to become rooted. The darkness is not rejection. The covering is not a prison. The burial is not the end. It is the environment where life becomes strong enough to break through the soil. But this generation wants harvest without hiddenness. It wants fruit without roots. It wants manifestation without incubation. That is not destiny. That is immaturity wearing religious language. You keep telling people what you are going to do, and then you wonder why you feel drained before you start. Because every premature announcement invites opinions. It invites jealousy. It invites distraction. It invites pressure. It invites people to touch with their mouth what God was still forming with his hand. Everybody who hears your dream does not have the maturity to protect it. Everybody who asks questions is not seeking understanding. Some people are collecting information so they can measure you, mock you, compete with you, or contaminate you. Do not be naive. Access is dangerous in the wrong hands. Many people lose destiny not because they lack potential. Not because they lack gifting, not because God did not speak, but because they gave access to people who could not protect what was being formed. They showed the blueprint to people who had no intention of building. They shared the pregnancy with people who only knew how to criticize the child. They exposed the foundation to people who were committed to shaking it before the walls went up. And then when the pressure came, they called it warfare. Sometimes it is not warfare. Sometimes it is wisdom violated. Sometimes the attack came through a door you opened with your own mouth. Sometimes the discouragement came because you invited commentary before you had capacity. Counsel sharpens you. Commentary scatters you. Counsel comes from builders. Commentary comes from spectators. Stop giving spectator seats to people who should not even be inside the construction site. If God gives you a plan, let obedience be your first response, not announcement. Build a habit before you build the brand. Build the character before you build the platform. Build the system before you build the audience. Build a private life before you expose the public vision. Because if the foundation is not ready, visibility will not bless you, it will break you. And here is where the matter goes deeper. If you do not know who you are, silence will feel like punishment instead of preparation. If your identity depends on people seeing you, then hiddenness will feel like death. If applause is your oxygen, then quiet seasons will suffocate you. That is why before you rebuild your life, you must return to the one who designed it. Because only the manufacturer can tell the product why it exists. So before you change your wardrobe, before you change your circle, before you change your schedule, before you change your name, your brand, your image, your language, return to the manufacturer. Because your destiny does not require a new costume, it requires a return to your original design. Listen to me carefully. Reinvention is one of the most misunderstood words in this generation. People say, I am reinventing myself, but what they mean is, I am copying what got somebody else's attention. They change their voice. They change their appearance. They change their message. They change their standards. They borrow personality from someone they admire and call it growth. No, that is not growth. That is confusion with confidence. Real reinvention is not becoming someone else. Real reinvention is removing everything that buried who God designed you to be. You were not manufactured by public opinion. You were not designed by the comment section. You were not assembled by applause. You were not created by comparison. You were designed by God, and anything that is designed has an intention inside it. A chair does not become useful because people vote for it. It becomes useful when it functions according to the purpose in the mind of the manufacturer. A product does not discover itself by asking other products what it should be. It returns to the manual. It returns to the maker. It returns to the mind that conceived it. That is why popularity cannot give you purpose. Permission cannot give you purpose. Comparison cannot give you purpose. They may give you activity. They may give you attention. They may give you temporary applause. But they cannot give you authority. Authority comes when a thing functions according to its design. Authority comes when you stop trying to impress the marketplace and start obeying the manufacturer. And here is the danger. Imitation is the enemy of destiny. I want you to hear that. Imitation is not harmless. Imitation is not admiration. Imitation is spiritual laziness dressed up as strategy. When you copy another person, you may get attention, but you will never produce authority. You may attract people who like the costume, but you will lose the power that comes from authenticity. A copy can be noticed, but only the original carries authority. A copy can perform, but only the original can fulfill assignment. You were not born to be a cheap version of someone God already made. Your fingerprint is different. Your voice is different. Your history is different. Your burden is different. Your gift is different. Your assignment is different. So why are you insulting your Creator by spending your life trying to become someone else? That is a lie from the pit of hell, designed to make you abandon your own field while you admire another man's harvest. You keep studying their fruit, but you refuse to cultivate your seed. You keep clapping for their building, but you refuse to lay your foundation. Stop right there. I know what you are thinking. You say, but I am just learning from people. There is nothing wrong with learning. There is something wrong with losing yourself. Mentorship is not mimicry. Inspiration is not imitation. Wisdom extracts principles. Insecurity copies personalities. A mature person can learn from another man's discipline without stealing his identity. A mature woman can admire another woman's excellence without abandoning her own design. Learn the principle, but do not become a puppet. Receive counsel, but do not surrender identity. This is why the 90-day season must begin with identity, not activity. Identity. Before you build, you must ask, who designed me? Before you run, you must ask, what problem was I born to solve? Before you post, you must ask, what gift has been neglected in me? Before you blame another person, you must ask, what responsibility have I avoided? These are not comfortable questions. These are surgical questions. They cut through excuses. They expose false motives. They reveal where you have been performing instead of becoming. Who designed me? That question will humble your ego. What problem was I born to solve? That question will focus your energy. What gift has been neglected? That question will confront your laziness. What responsibility have I avoided? That question will end your blame. Because many people are not confused because God is silent. They are confused because they have been too noisy to listen. They are not lost because there is no design. They are lost because they have been taking instructions from spectators instead of the manufacturer. And sometimes God has to separate you to get your ears back. Do not misunderstand. Loneliness in this season, being alone is not the same as being abandoned. Being quiet is not the same as being forgotten. Being separated is not the same as being rejected. Sometimes God pulls you away from noise because noise has become your counselor. Sometimes He removes the crowd because the crowd has become your compass. Sometimes He allows silence because silence is the only environment where your true name can be heard again. You keep calling it loneliness, but heaven may be calling it consecration. You keep calling it isolation, but God may be calling it recovery. You keep calling it loss, but the manufacturer may be removing unauthorized voices from the workshop. A product cannot be repaired properly while everybody is touching it. A blueprint cannot be restored while critics are writing on it. A destiny cannot be clarified while 10 confused people are speaking into it at the same time. So in these 90 days, stop asking, who left me? Ask, what is God revealing to me? Stop asking, why am I not invited? Ask, what am I being prepared to carry? Stop asking, why are they not supporting me? Ask, what part of me has been dependent on support instead of design? Because if your identity collapses when people leave, then people were your foundation. And if people are your foundation, your future is already unstable. Let me tell you something strong. Once you know you are designed, you lose the right to live like an accident. Once you know you were manufactured with purpose, you lose the right to blame everybody for what you refuse to build. You cannot keep saying, they did not help me. Build. You cannot keep saying, they did not believe in me. Build. You cannot keep saying, they overlooked me. Build. You cannot keep saying, they did not open the door. Build what makes the door unnecessary. Design creates responsibility. Purpose creates accountability. If God gave you a gift, then neglect is rebellion. If God gave you an assignment, then delay cannot become your lifestyle. If God gave you capacity, then excuses are an insult to the manufacturer. You are not waiting because you have nothing. You are waiting because you have not organized what you already carry. You are not empty. You are undisciplined. You are not forgotten. You are unfocused. You are not powerless. You are misaligned. Return to the manufacturer. Let him strip off the costume. Let him remove the borrowed voice. Let him confront the imitation. Let him restore the original design. Because the next version of you is not a stranger. The next version of you is the real you, without fear, without performance, without apology, without addiction to approval. And when identity is restored, responsibility becomes clear. When responsibility becomes clear, discipline has a direction. And when discipline has a direction, the hidden season stops feeling like punishment and starts becoming construction. Now, rule number 1, guard the blueprint from people who cannot build. I want you to hear this carefully. Once identity is restored, access must be regulated. You cannot let everybody who knew the broken version of you have unrestricted access to the building site of the restored version of you. That is not wisdom. That is exposure. That is not humility. That is mismanagement. If you do not protect the blueprint, you may never finish the building. Stop right there. I know what you are thinking. You say, but these are my people. They love me. They've been around me for years. Listen, love does not always equal capacity. Some people can love you and still not understand what God is forming in you. Some people can care about you and still be committed to the version of you that made them comfortable. Some people do not hate your future. They simply cannot recognize it because they are still relating to your past. That is why you must learn the difference between counsel and commentary. Counsel sharpens the assignment. Commentary scatters the focus. Counsel comes with responsibility. Commentary comes with opinion. Counsel helps you build straighter. Commentary makes you second guess the foundation. Counsel asks, what did God say and how do we obey it with wisdom? Commentary asks, what will people think and why are you changing? Counsel is for builders. Commentary is for spectators. And if you keep confusing spectators with builders, you will keep handing sacred plans to careless mouths. You do not show blueprints to everybody walking past the construction site. You do not invite critics into the foundation meeting. You do not ask spectators how to carry steel. You do not give architectural drawings to people who have never built anything but arguments, gossip, and confusion. A blueprint is not entertainment. A blueprint is responsibility. It shows measurements, structure, weight, order, timing, and design. If it gets into the wrong hands, people will not always destroy it with hatred. Sometimes they destroy it with questions, fear, doubt, projection, sarcasm, and small thinking. And let me tell you something strong. The most dangerous voices in your hidden season are not always enemies. Sometimes they are familiar voices with outdated information. They remember how you used to quit. They remember how you used to compromise. They remember how you used to need approval. They remember your old appetite, your old weakness, your old instability, your old patterns. So when God begins to form something new in you, they keep calling you by an old name. They keep inviting you into old environments. They keep feeding the former self while you are trying to starve it. For 90 days, you need selective access. Reduce unnecessary conversations. Stop explaining every decision. Stop giving long speeches to people who are not assigned to your construction. Protect your mornings. Protect your evenings. Protect the hours where your spirit is most sensitive and your focus is most vulnerable. Do not start your day with noise and wonder why you have no clarity. Do not end your night in foolish environments and wonder why your appetite is confused. What you permit repeatedly will eventually shape you. This does not mean you become rude. This does not mean you become arrogant. This does not mean you walk around acting deep, mysterious, and superior. No, that is immaturity. Wearing spiritual clothing. Boundaries are not bitterness. Boundaries are stewardship. Boundaries are not revenge against people who misunderstood you. Boundaries are protection for the future God is building in you. Peace is not a luxury. Peace is a construction requirement. Focus is not optional. Focus is the atmosphere where destiny becomes organized. So for 90 days, stop taking every call. Stop attending every conversation. Stop revisiting every old place. Stop entertaining every emotional emergency that pulls you away from obedience. Not every invitation is alignment. Not every relationship is assignment. Not every open door is from God. Some doors are distractions with good manners. Some conversations are drains wearing the costume of concern. Some environments do not attack your destiny directly. They simply keep reminding your flesh who it used to be. Guard the blueprint. Guard your ears. Guard your appetite. Guard your time. Guard your peace. Guard the part of you that is still being formed. Because what God is building in you is too important to be handled by people who only know how to comment, criticize, compare, or control. But once you guard access, you will discover another battle. The next enemy is not always outside you. After you silence the crowd, you must confront the inconsistency within. Because a protected blueprint still requires daily construction. And the next rule is this: build a daily system stronger than your feelings. Rule number 2, build a daily system stronger than your feelings. Because once the crowd is quiet, once the phone is silent, once the outside voices are restricted, you will meet the most dangerous voice in your life, your own undisciplined appetite. And if you do not build a system, your feelings will become your government. Listen to me carefully. Transformation does not happen because you cry during a message. Transformation does not happen because you were inspired for one night. Transformation does not happen because you made a promise while the music was playing and your emotions were high. Transformation happens because of repeated obedience, not emotional obedience. Repeated obedience, not convenient obedience. Repeated obedience. Not obedience when people are watching, clapping, encouraging, and validating. Repeated obedience in the dark, in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the moments where nobody knows whether you did it or not. Your future is not waiting for your feelings to agree. It is waiting for your discipline to mature. Feelings negotiate. Systems execute. Feelings ask, do I want to? Systems say, this is who I am. Feelings change with the weather, with the message, with the memory, with the comment, with the disappointment. Systems carry you when motivation disappears. Feelings will wake up tired. Feelings will wake up offended. Feelings will wake up lonely. Feelings will wake up remembering who hurt you, who ignored you, who did not support you, who did not invite you. But a system does not ask your pain for permission to obey God. Stop letting your mood manage your destiny. That is childish. That is dangerous. That is why some people have great dreams and small lives. They only move when they feel moved. They only pray when they feel spiritual. They only study when they feel focused. They only train when they feel energized. They only apologize when they feel convicted. They only build when they feel inspired. No. If your destiny depends on your emotions, your future is unstable. You need structure. You need order. You need a daily system that tells your flesh it is not in charge. For 90 days, wake with intention. Do not wake up wandering. Do not wake up reaching for distraction before you reach for direction. The first moments of your day are too sacred to be handed to noise. Pray before distraction, before messages, before social media, before other people's emergencies, before the world starts placing demands on your mind. Report to the manufacturer. Let God set the tone before people set the temperature. Then train the body. Do not tell me you are called to carry weight if you refuse to discipline the vessel. Your body is not your enemy. It is your instrument. Teach it order. Teach it endurance. Teach it to obey. Walk, stretch, lift, run, move, sweat. Do something that reminds your flesh that it does not govern the assignment. A lazy body often becomes the hiding place of a lazy spirit. Not always, but often. Discipline in one area begins to confront disorder in another. Study the mind. Read what strengthens purpose. Listen to what sharpens wisdom. Feed your thinking with material that enlarges capacity. You cannot keep feeding on foolishness and expect to think like a leader. You cannot consume gossip, fear, comparison, entertainment, and outrage all day and then wonder why your thoughts have no authority. The mind becomes powerful by diet. If you feed it trash, it will produce confusion. If you feed it truth, it will produce clarity. Develop the gift every day. Not once a month, not when you're in the mood, every day. If you sing, train. If you write, write. If you teach, study. If you build, build. If you lead, learn leadership. If you solve problems, practice solving them. Your gift is not matured by admiration. It is matured by exercise. Stop waiting for a platform to practice what should have been developed in private. The stage is not the gym. The stage reveals what the gym produced. Then review the day. At night, do not just collapse into sleep with no examination. Ask, where did I obey? Where did I drift? What triggered me? What strengthened me? What weakened me? What must I correct tomorrow? A life without review becomes a life of repeated mistakes. You cannot correct what you refuse to confront. You cannot master what you refuse to measure. And every day, remove one habit that weakens destiny, one conversation, one appetite, one delay, one excuse, one compromise, one unnecessary scroll, one emotional reaction, one secret agreement with the old version of you. Do not try to impress people with dramatic declarations. Just remove the thing quietly, consistently, powerfully. Small decisions create large futures. What you do privately every day becomes what your life reveals publicly later. Public fruit is private repetition made visible. And let me confront this spirit of validation again. If applause is required for obedience, the assignment is still being held hostage by insecurity. If you need someone to notice every step, you are not free. If you need people to praise your discipline before you continue it, you are not disciplined. You are performing. Obedience does not need an audience. Maturity does not need a camera. Discipline does not need a comment section. If God told you to build, build whether they clap or not. Build whether they understand or not. Build whether they ask about it or not. Because discipline is connected to dominion. You cannot lead a family if you cannot lead your temper. You cannot lead a business if you cannot lead your schedule. You cannot lead a community if you cannot lead your mouth. You cannot lead a generation if you cannot lead your appetite. Dominion begins with self-government. Before God trusts you with influence over people, He will confront whether you have influence over yourself. So for 90 days, stop asking how you feel and start asking what obedience requires. Wake with intention. Pray before distraction. Train the body. Study the mind. Develop the gift. Review the day. Remove what weakens destiny. Do it when you feel fire. Do it when you feel nothing. Do it when it is easy. Do it when it is boring. Do it when nobody checks on you. Do it until discipline becomes stronger than desire. But understand this, the moment you begin to build a real system, discomfort will rise. Your flesh will protest. Your emotions will resist. All appetites will start making noise. Delay will feel heavier. Pressure will feel personal. And if you do not interpret pain correctly, you will call preparation punishment and quit too early. That is why the next rule is critical. You must learn to let pressure produce capacity instead of bitterness. Rule number 3, let pressure produce capacity instead of bitterness. Because pressure is not proof that you are failing, it may be proof that capacity is being created. I want you to hear that again. Pressure is not always an attack. Pressure is not always punishment. Pressure is not always evidence that God has left you. Sometimes pressure is the hand of the manufacturer testing the material before the product is released. Stop right there. I know what you are thinking. You say, but this feels too hard. This feels slow. This feels lonely. This feels like nothing is happening. No. That is because you keep judging development by visibility. You keep judging progress by applause. You keep judging movement by whether people can see it. But roots do not make noise. Roots do not get applause. Roots do not announce themselves. Roots grow in the dark, beneath the surface, where nobody celebrates them, nobody photographs them, nobody compliments them. But without roots, the tree cannot stand. What feels like delay may be development. What feels like burial may be rooting. What feels like silence may be construction. What feels like being hidden may be heaven, protecting you from premature exposure. A seed does not panic because it is under dirt. The dirt is not its enemy. The dirt is the environment where its design begins to respond. If you dig up a seed every day to see whether it is growing, you will kill what patience was supposed to produce. Some of you keep interrupting your own growth because you need evidence too early. Listen carefully. The higher the tree must rise, the deeper the roots must go. Public height without private depth becomes collapse. You can admire tall trees, but you cannot see what made them stable. You see branches, God sees roots. You see leaves, God sees depth. You see fruit, God sees what is holding the fruit. And before God allows you to carry public weight, He will develop private depth. That is why hidden seasons are uncomfortable. They confront what public success would have exposed dangerously. Pressure reveals weakness before responsibility reveals it publicly. Pressure shows you where you are still proud. Pressure shows you where you are still lazy. Pressure shows you where you still need applause to obey. Pressure shows you where you still want everybody to understand you before you move. Pressure shows you where your peace is still controlled by opinions, invitations, comments, silence, and approval. Do not be offended by the exposure. Be grateful for it. It is mercy when God reveals weakness in private. It is mercy when He confronts your pride before promotion. It is mercy when He confronts your appetite before influence. It is mercy when He confronts your insecurity before people start calling your name. Because if the weakness is not corrected in the hidden place, it will embarrass you in the public place. What you refuse to master in private will eventually manage you in public. Some people are praying for opportunity, but they have no capacity. They want the door, but they have no discipline. They want the platform, but they have no roots. They want the title, but they have no temperament. They want responsibility, but they cannot handle correction. They want influence, but they are still addicted to being understood by everybody. Let me tell you something strong. If you rush development, you may arrive at the opportunity with no capacity to sustain it. A blessing you cannot manage becomes a burden. A platform you are not prepared for becomes a trap. An open door without inner formation can destroy the person who walks through it. That is why God will sometimes slow you down. Not because He is against you, but because He knows what the wait will require. The delay is not denial. The wait is not waste. The process is not punishment. It is preparation. But here is where people fail. They become bitter in the place where they were supposed to become bigger. They complain about the pressure instead of learning from it. They announce the pain for sympathy instead of allowing the pain to produce maturity. They want people to pity them when God is trying to train them. Stop broadcasting every ache. Stop turning every hard day into a public performance. Stop using your discomfort as proof that you are being mistreated by heaven. Difficulty is not divine rejection. Do not quit. Do not stop. Do not run back to noise because silence feels heavy. Do not go back to old appetites because discipline feels lonely. Do not call everyone who will comfort your weakness and excuse your disobedience. Endure. Stay under the process. Let the pressure teach you. Let the hidden place correct you. Let the silence strengthen you. Let the discomfort reveal what must die before the next level can live. And do not lower the standard just because it hurts. Pain does not give you permission to compromise. Loneliness does not give you permission to return to confusion. Delay does not give you permission to abandon discipline. Pressure does not give you permission to become bitter, rude, careless, or rebellious. You are being formed. You are being stretched. You are being rooted. You are being given the capacity to carry what your prayer asked for. Because when pressure does its work, it strips away performance. It removes the costume. It exposes the borrowed voice. It confronts the fake confidence, the public personality, the approval addiction, the need to be seen, the need to be explained, the need to be celebrated. And after pressure finishes, stripping away what was false, the true self can finally emerge. That is why the next rule matters. Because pressure will bring you face to face with an old version of yourself. The version that survived but never ruled. The version that endured pain but learned fear. The version that made it through the past but cannot govern the future. And in these 90 days, you must break agreement with that version before it steals the destiny you were born to carry. Rule number 4, break agreement with the version of you that survived but never ruled. I want you to hear that very carefully. There is a version of you that got you through pain, but that version cannot lead you into purpose. There is a version of you that learned how to hide, how to flinch, how to apologize for existing, how to expect rejection before it arrives, how to delay obedience because fear sounded reasonable. That version may have protected you in a season of trauma, but it cannot govern a season of destiny. Stop right there. I know what you are thinking. You say, but this is just who I am. No, that is not who you are. That is who pain trained you to be. That is who rejection educated. That is who disappointment disciplined. That is who survival manufactured after you stop reporting to the manufacturer. Fear is not identity. Procrastination is not personality. People-pleasing is not humility. Small thinking is not wisdom. Those are agreements. And in these 90 days, you must cancel them. The old version of you learned how to survive by shrinking. It learned how to survive by keeping people comfortable. It learned how to survive by making excuses before anybody could expect excellence. It learned how to survive by saying, I am just not ready, when the truth was, I am afraid to be responsible. It learned how to survive by blaming the past, blaming the family, blaming the economy, blaming the church, blaming the leader, blaming the pain, blaming everybody except the person in the mirror. But dominion does not grow in blame. Leadership does not grow in excuses. Legacy does not grow in self-pity. Survival may keep you alive, but survival cannot carry dominion. Survival can help you endure a storm, but it cannot build a nation. Survival can help you make it through a night, but it cannot govern a future. Survival can teach you caution, but assignment requires courage. Survival can teach you how not to die, but purpose requires you to learn how to live. Do not confuse endurance with rulership. Do not confuse making it through with being ready to lead. The old you survived the past, but it cannot govern the future. That is why transformation is not merely emotional, it is legal. It is a decision of identity. You must stop giving your past permission to manage your future. You must revoke the authority you gave to fear. You must revoke the authority you gave to rejection. You must revoke the authority you gave to shame, delay, insecurity, comparison, and the need to be approved by people who never understood your assignment in the first place. Your history can explain some things, but it does not have the right to command everything. And this is where repentance must become practical. Not religious noise, not tears without change, not confession without correction. Repent from low-level agreements. Repent from excuses that make disobedience sound intelligent. Repent from secret compromise that keeps your spirit weak while your mouth speaks strong. Repent from careless speech, from announcing fear, rehearsing failure, prophesying defeat over your own life. Repent from weak standards that keep letting old appetites walk through new doors. Repent from relationships that feed immaturity and then call it loyalty. Some people do not need another breakthrough. They need a severing. They need to break agreement with the conversation that keeps them childish. Break agreement with the environment that keeps them sensual. Break agreement with the friendship that keeps them cynical. Break agreement with the secret habit that keeps them powerless. Break agreement with the inner voice that says, this is enough. No, it is not enough. Not for what you were born to carry. Not for what heaven invested in you. Not for the assignment attached to your life. You are not designed merely to be improved. God is not interested in decorating dysfunction. He is not trying to put a new suit on an old mind. He is not trying to give you public influence while private rebellion still rules you. He wants alignment. Alignment with purpose. Alignment with assignment. Alignment with the reason he sent you. When a manufacturer creates a product, the product is not successful because it looks better than it used to look. It is successful when it functions according to design. So in these 90 days, stop rehearsing fear and start speaking truth. When fear says, you cannot do this, answer it with design. I was built for obedience. When shame says, you are disqualified, answer it with purpose. I am being restored for assignment. When delay says, nothing is happening, answer it with discipline. Roots are growing where people cannot see. Stop letting fear preach to you every morning. Speak truth until your soul remembers its origin. Choose responsibility instead of blame. Blame is easy. Responsibility is royal. Blame keeps you emotionally entertained. Responsibility makes you powerful. The moment you stop blaming, you recover authority. You may not have chosen everything that happened to you, but you must choose what governs you now. You may not be responsible for every wound, but you are responsible for your healing. You may not be responsible for who abandoned you, but you are responsible for who you become after they left. Build competence instead of seeking pity. Pity may comfort you for a moment, but competence will prepare you for assignment. Stop needing everybody to feel sorry for you. Study, train, practice, learn, correct, improve, become skillful, become stable, become dependable, become the kind of person heaven can trust with weight. A weak standard will always look for sympathy. A disciplined spirit looks for instruction. And practice courage before comfort. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is obedience while fear is talking. Courage is making the call. Courage is telling the truth. Courage is ending the relationship. Courage is starting the work. Courage is showing up again after failure. Courage is doing privately what the all you needed applause to attempt publicly. Comfort trains consumers. Courage trains leaders. You cannot carry a public assignment with a private identity still governed by survival. You cannot step into leadership while still negotiating with the habits that kept you small. You cannot build legacy while protecting the excuses that damage your discipline. The hidden season is not just about adding new habits. It is about issuing a death certificate to the version of you that cannot enter the future. So break the agreement. Break it in your speech. Break it in your schedule. Break it in your relationships. Break it in your appetite. Break it in your thinking. Break it when nobody sees you. Break it when the old feeling returns. Break it when the old invitation comes. Break it when the old fear whispers. Break it until the past no longer has a vote. Because the goal of disappearing is not to remain hidden forever. The goal is to return with authority. Not noise, authority. Not performance, authority. Not a borrowed voice, not a wounded identity, not a frightened spirit, wearing confidence like a costume. Authority that comes from alignment. Authority that comes from discipline. Authority that comes from a person who has been corrected in private and can now carry responsibility in public. That is why the next rule matters. If you are going to return, you must prepare privately for the weight of public assignment. Rule number 5, prepare privately for the weight of public assignment. Because public assignment is not glamour, it is weight. It is not lights, it is responsibility. It is not applause, it is consequence. And if you do not understand that, you will pray for a door that your character cannot survive. Let me tell you something. Visibility increases everything. It increases pressure, it increases criticism, it increases expectation, it increases temptation, it increases the cost of small mistakes. When nobody knows your name, you can be careless and only a few people suffer. But when influence comes, your carelessness becomes contagious. Your disorder affects other people. Your confusion creates confusion. Your weakness becomes a doorway through which other people can be damaged. That is why God prepares you in private so public responsibility does not destroy you. Stop romanticizing the platform. The platform is not a toy. The platform is a test. Opportunity is not just a reward. Opportunity is an examination. Influence is not just people listening to you. Influence is people being affected by what you have become. A weak man on a platform is more dangerous than a weak man in a cave, because now his weakness has a microphone. A confused woman with influence can multiply confusion in people who trusted her voice. Public assignment does not create character, it reveals it. That is why you must be built before you are seen. Not perfect, built. Not flawless, formed. Not famous, faithful. In the hidden place, character must be built. Character is who you are when there is no audience, no reward, no celebration, and no immediate consequence. Character is telling the truth when a lie would protect your image. Character is keeping your word when nobody would know if you broke it. Character is doing what is right when doing what is right costs you convenience, comfort, money, ego, and relationships. Competence must be built. Do not hide laziness behind spirituality. Do not say, God will open the door while refusing to develop the skill required to serve when the door opens. Pray, yes, but also study. Fast, yes, but also practice. Worship, yes, but also learn your craft. Heaven does not bless incompetence so you can embarrass the assignment. Your gift must be sharpened. Your thinking must be trained. Your execution must become dependable. People do not only need your passion, they need your preparation. Spiritual stability must be built. You cannot be led by every emotion, every rumor, every attack, every compliment, every rejection, every invitation. If praise lifts you too high and criticism drops you too low, you are not stable enough for public responsibility. You must know how to return to the manufacturer when nobody understands the product. You must know how to hear God when people are clapping, and you must know how to hear God when people are silent. Applause is not direction. Criticism is not destruction. God must become your center before people become your audience. Emotional order must be built. Leaders cannot bleed on everybody and call it authenticity. There is a difference between honesty and disorder. There's a difference between transparency and immaturity. You must learn to process pain without making everyone around you responsible for your reactions. You must learn to stand alone without becoming bitter. You must learn to make decisions without applause. You must learn to serve without needing attention. You must learn to correct yourself before others have to expose what you refuse to confront. Financial discipline must be built. Do not ask God for more when you have not governed what you already have. Money does not fix disorder. Money magnifies management. If you cannot steward little, more will not make you mature. Pay attention, save, give, plan, reduce foolish appetite. Stop spending money to impress people who are not assigned to your destiny. A public assignment often requires resources, and resources require stewardship. Poverty of discipline can sabotage abundance of opportunity. Physical strength must be built. Your body is the vehicle of your assignment. If the vehicle breaks down, the assignment suffers. You cannot keep abusing the vessel and expecting it to carry weight forever. Rest, train, eat with wisdom, build endurance. Do not worship the body, but do not neglect it. A tired, undisciplined, unmanaged body can become a silent enemy to a great calling. And clarity of vision must be built. If you do not know where you are going, every invitation will look like destiny. Every compliment will sound like confirmation. Every open door will look like God. No. Some doors are distractions with good lighting. Some opportunities are traps wearing promotions clothing. Clarity protects you from being bought by attention. Clarity teaches you what to accept and what to refuse. Clarity gives your yes authority because your no has discipline. Many people want doors to open, but few are willing to become the kind of person who can remain faithful after the door opens. They want the relationship, but not the maturity to love well. They want the business, but not the discipline to manage pressure. They want the ministry, but not the humility to serve unseen. They want influence, but not correction. They want destiny, but not formation. That is childish. That is fantasy. Success without formation is a collapse waiting for a calendar date. So these 90 days are not complete because you feel inspired. They are not complete because you changed your picture. They are not complete because you posted a mysterious sentence and made people wonder where you went. No. The hidden season is not complete until fruit appears. Measurable fruit, clearer thinking, cleaner habits, stronger boundaries, deeper prayer, better stewardship, sharper skill, healthier emotions, greater obedience, less noise, more authority. Do not come out of hiding with a new image and the same old disorder. Do not come out louder but still weak. Do not come out dressed differently but governed by the same appetite. Come out with evidence. Come out with fruit. Come out with discipline that can be inspected. Come out with decisions that prove growth. Come out with a spirit that does not need to explain itself to everybody because it has been formed by obedience. Now the rules are clear. Guard the blueprint. Build a system. Let pressure produce capacity. Break agreement with the survivor that cannot rule. Prepare privately for the weight of public assignment. Now you must decide, will this remain inspiration or will it become covenant? Will you hear this and feel moved for one day, or will you disappear for 90 days and be changed? Because the next season does not need your noise. It needs your fruit. So this is the covenant. Not a mood, not a moment, not a temporary emotional fire that burns for one night and dies when discipline is required. This is where you decide that the next 90 days will not be controlled by appetite, applause, confusion, excuses, or the old version of you that kept negotiating with destiny. Stop right there. I know what you are thinking. You say, can 90 days really change my life? Listen carefully. 90 days will not solve everything. 90 days will not erase every wound. 90 days will not magically remove every consequence of years of disorder. But 90 days of obedience can break patterns that years of excuses protected. 90 days of discipline can interrupt cycles that your feelings kept defending. 90 days of silence can restore authority that noise has been stealing from you for years. Do not come back louder. Come back formed. For the next 90 days, guard the blueprint. Stop handing sacred instructions to people who only know how to criticize what they cannot build. Stop explaining every move to people who are not responsible for your assignment. Stop taking the dream to the comment section and expecting strangers to treat it like a covenant. Show the blueprint to builders. Seek counsel, not commentary. Protect your peace. Protect your focus. Protect the thing God is forming before it becomes public enough for others to mishandle. For the next 90 days, build a system. Not a fantasy, not a wish, not a beautiful sentence in a notebook. A system, a time to wake up, a time to pray, a time to study, a time to train, a time to work, a time to rest, a time to correct what is broken, a time to become dependable. Your feelings are too unstable to manage your future. Your emotions were never designed to be the architect of your destiny. Build a daily system stronger than your mood, stronger than your boredom, stronger than your loneliness, stronger than your need to be noticed. For the next 90 days, interpret pressure correctly. Stop calling every hard thing an attack. Stop calling every delay a denial. Stop calling every quiet season abandonment. Pressure is not always proof that something is wrong. Sometimes pressure is the proof that capacity is being created. Let it stretch you without making you bitter. Let it correct you without making you offended. Let it expose weakness without making you ashamed. If you respond to pressure with complaint, you remain small. If you respond to pressure with discipline, you expand. For the next 90 days, break agreement with the old self. Break agreement with fear. Break agreement with delay. Break agreement with shame. Break agreement with that little voice that keeps saying, this is just who I am. No, that is not who you are. That is who pain trained you to be. That is who disappointment educated. That is who survival created when you stop reporting to your original design. You were not manufactured for permanent survival. You were designed for dominion, stewardship, service, leadership, and assignment. For the next 90 days, prepare privately for public weight. Stop wanting the door more than you want the character to stand inside the door. Stop wanting influence more than you want integrity. Stop wanting recognition more than you want readiness. Public assignment has weight. It will test your motives, your habits, your emotions, your skill, your stewardship, your body, your prayer life, your relationships, your ability to obey when nobody is clapping. So build now, train now, correct now, submit now, heal now, learn now, become now. And when these 90 days are complete, do not measure them by who noticed you were gone. Measure them by fruit. Is your identity clearer? Are your habits stronger? Are your relationships cleaner? Is your prayer life deeper? Is your skill sharper? Is your body healthier? Is your schedule disciplined? Is your speech cleaner? Is your obedience faster? Is your peace less dependent on people? Is there visible fruit where there used to be only intention? Because intention is not fruit. Emotion is not fruit. A plan is not fruit. A new image is not fruit. Fruit is evidence. Fruit can be inspected. Fruit can feed somebody. Fruit proves that a seed submitted to process long enough to become useful. Do not return with explanations. Return with evidence. Do not return with a mysterious personality. Return with maturity. Do not return with spiritual language and the same private disorder. Return with discipline that can carry weight. Some of you need to make a declaration today. Not to impress people, but to draw a line in your own soul. If you understand this teaching, write it plainly. I choose preparation over applause. Write it until your spirit hears it. Write it until your habits are confronted by it. Write the truth you are choosing to live according to God's original purpose for your life. Not according to fear, not according to rejection, not according to comparison, not according to the appetite of the old you. According to purpose, according to design, according to assignment. And do not write it if you do not mean it. This is not entertainment. This is not a slogan. This is covenant language. A covenant requires death to something, death to performance, death to explaining yourself to everybody, death to chasing applause, death to needing people to validate what God already instructed, death to the undisciplined version of you that keeps asking for destiny while refusing structure. So make the decision. Disappear for 90 days with purpose, not in bitterness, not in drama, not in secret pride. Disappear to be formed. Stop performing. Stop explaining. Stop chasing applause. Start building the person your assignment requires. Build when nobody sees you. Pray when nobody thanks you. Study when nobody celebrates you. Train when nobody photographs you. Obey when nobody understands you. Correct yourself before life is forced to correct you publicly. And if you are committed to becoming an agent of change, not a spectator of your own destiny, then stay connected to teaching that calls you higher. Subscribe only if you are serious about formation. Subscribe only if you are done being entertained by truth while refusing to obey it. Subscribe because you are ready to be built, challenged, corrected, and commissioned. This is the final charge. Disappear with purpose. Build in silence. Obey in private. Return with fruit. And let your life speak louder than your announcement.